Hey, everybody, it's David Rains, host of All Access Chat, and super happy to have you here. We're bringing you our latest episode today. You're not going to want to miss this one. This is an All Access Chat behind the scenes in a way you've never seen before. And if you like what you see here, make sure you hit your subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, because we got lots more content coming your way, and you don't want to miss out on a single episode. If you like what you see as well, share it with your friend, because I'm sure you have friends who would be interested in seeing the content that you enjoy as well. Don't forget as well, in the link to the video, there is all kinds of links to our guest social media accounts. So you're not going to want to miss that, and you're going to want to follow them as well. They'll be happy to have you, as we are. Thanks very much. Now let's get right to the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming Paul Loduca to All Access Chat. And Paul, for those of you that don't know, was the bass player extraordinaire from a little band called Neverest back in the day in Toronto. One of my favorite bands. Didn't even know Paul actually when I started listening to their music. Got to be a big fan, and then all of a sudden, here we are. We got to know each other, and it's been fun ever since. So, welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate all the kind words and support always.
Where have you been quarantining during this whole pandemic?
At home. It's you know what, I honestly, as you know, with respect to who it's affecting negatively, I kind of needed to pause because I tend to overwork myself with everything that I have going on, and the break has been good. So I've been just really, reflecting on what's really important, of course, and staying as creative and busy as I can while I'm here.
Awesome. So what do you got going on? Maybe share with people a little bit about, you say you got a lot going on all the time. I mean, what do you got going on all the time?
Well, since Neverest had officially stopped about 5 years ago, we did a reunion show last year just for fun, and we released a whole brand new album. At that time, it's called The Lost Tracks, and that was really precious to us. But my focus since the band had stopped became comedy and acting and production and directing, everything. I immediately took advantage of my social media platforms and started doing sketches and things that just made me laugh. And I mean, long story short, I met a wonderful, another person who I had great comedic chemistry with. Her name is Stella. And in the past 3.5 years now, we've built a very successful comedy brand online as Paul Stella Comedy. Or Paul and Stella Comedy. So, and because of the success of that, we've been working on our own sitcom for the past couple of years. We're trying to get into development for next year now, of course, with everything going on. But it's something that we're really excited about. And I mean, we're constantly throwing darts everywhere. We have a podcast called That's a Mouthful with Paul and Stella. We have all the videos you see online, and the show that hopefully is the real goal. TikTok for us has been a very big deal. It's finally. We've been fortunate enough to see some numbers that really great for all the work that we've put in over the past 3 years. We've seen some viral success across Instagram and other platforms, but TikTok's really been amazing for us throughout this entire quarantine. Even I'm just constantly working on my own craft. I'm acting. I also have an agent separate from this, and just writing and directing, doing everything that that really lights me up.
And for those of you that haven't watched, and Paul, we're gonna make some links here to your social media. But if you haven't seen Paul's comedy, it is some of the funniest I've ever seen. I'll tell you, I watch for those things to come out, and it's just one of those things that I'm laughing and joking. And one night, I'll share a quick story. My wife was asleep. I was watching, just kind of scrolling through my phone while I laying in bed beside her, and one of your videos came on, and I was laughing so loud I actually woke her up. And she said, what are you laughing at? I said, well, now you got to get up and watch this, right? So she's become a convert to your shows as well. So it's awesome. So
I love hearing that, man. I'm honored to make you laugh. I'm very happy that do you remember which video it was?
You know what?
It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically, man. There's so many funny ones out there, but it was one. I know you and Stella were going back and forth. It was I think it was in the kitchen. You were doing something going on in the kitchen there, but
yeah.
But it was funny. So
thank you so much. It means the world to me that whatever I do that lights me up can connect with people in a positive way. And I was fortunate enough to have experienced that with Neverest's success as well for many years, like connecting with people through what I did with music, and then being able to do that with comedy is even more rewarding happened with the band. So I love stories like that. Thank you very much.
So let's take a bit of a stroll down memory lane. Let's talk Neverest for a few minutes.
Sure.
Just to share a quick story, just to kind of give the viewers a little bit of a context here. Like I said, I was a fan before I even met you. But one year you guys played Nathan Phillips Square on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And it was a great show, but I had my boys who were then 9 and 10 years old at the time, and they're significantly older now. But
Wow,
we decided to take them
12.
down.
That's 12.
It's crazy, right? But you took them downtown, and we stayed in a hotel, and we right across the street there, and we're out walking around in the afternoon, and you guys are doing a sound check, and my boys had never seen a sound check before, and of course, the years that I worked at Kingswood, I was telling them the stories. I would always kind of share stories about the days that I worked there. But you guys were doing a sound check, and they wanted to walk over and kind of see how things were working and what was going on. And they stood right up close to the stage. There was like a handful of people there. And when the sound check was over, I think it was Mickey actually who walked up and handed them each a drumstick. And you guys were awesome with them, laughing and talking and just, spent a couple of minutes. And that's something that they always remember. And I share that story because that's the kind of guys that you are. And that was what, kind of was nice to know. Sometimes they say don't meet your heroes, and because you never know how they're going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
When I met you guys and we got to know each other, it was pretty awesome. And you are what you see, right? There's no BS there. So
that's wonderful to hear. I mean, it means the world to me, honestly. Thank you. I'm so happy that you have such a great memory with that. Yeah. It was an amazing day. I do remember the sound check too, and I remember that. I remember seeing you guys there actually. There was a small crowd of people. That's why it was very intimate and very cool at that point. Brendan was in the band at that point. He was the drummer at that point. Yeah, Mikey came after. He was there's 2 phases of Neverest, and that was part of the first phase, and we got to perform that night with our manager Howie D from the Backstreet Boys as well. So it was a monumental night for us too. And it's awesome that you have such a wonderful memory of it, as like us, like we do. That's very cool to hear. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Neverest, how it came to be, and kind of a little bit about how you got into the band.
Neverest, when it first started, it was our producer Mike Kiofos is how we all met each other. And Mike was like a mentor to me for like 3 years while I was in my other bands. I was very adamant. I was just kind of the drive behind all of my projects I was in, and I had brought my previous band, to work with Mike to produce some new songs for us. We were very excited about going to the radio. And in the process, in that whole time, he was developing Spee and at the time Mike Close, who was the guitarist, for many years. And he was also building this record label, and he found everything. Mike Kiofos is the reason for Neverest. He produced it, he created a label around it, he found investors for the project, and he found all of us. So, like one day I was recording guitars for my other band's album, and we stopped for a second, and he's like, you know what, let me play you something for 1 second. And he put on a demo of a Neverest song called Blame Me. And it was the first time that I really heard what Spee could do with his voice. And I grew up loving Michael Jackson, so Spee had this Michael Jackson vibe to his voice, and I just immediately was like, who is this guy, and it won me over, and I was like, wow. I'm like, I knew that they were looking for a bassist at the time. I was a guitarist, and I'm like, why don't you throw me in there, man? Like, I don't even know. It just kind of came out of me. He goes, are you serious? I'm like, I don't know if I'm serious. I don't even know why I asked you, because I was so excited about what was going to happen with my band, And he goes, oh my God, Paulie, you've been in front of my eyes for 3 years. You're perfect. You're going to meet the guys. You're going to learn 6 songs on bass, this and that. I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't even know. Anyways, long story short there, within 2.5 weeks from that moment, I had met Spee and Mike. I hadn't met Brendan yet, because Brendan was from Timmins. I'm 19-year-old from Timmins. And we hadn't, but they had the band together. They were just looking for a bassist. And I learned 6 songs on bass. I met the guys. And the rest is history. Like, I knew that Howie D would be a part of the management team. That was cool. But in music, just like anything, you can't guarantee anything. All I knew is that this was a very special leap of faith that I had to take to do some. It scared me in all the right ways. And none of us were singers before this. Not even Spee. Spee was the drummer of Neverest. All of us swapped. And when we got together and, we started, working together for 6 months straight before the release of About Us, our debut single, for 6 months straight, for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, we were learning how to sing on our own, learning how to sing together, you know, writing and learning some of the tunes, and just becoming like singing 4-part harmonies. Like it was huge, you know. That was in, I think, May of 2010, and then November of 2010 is when we released About Us, you know, with the music video. We went across the country with Howie D to all the major radio stations across the country, to play for them and their staff, to show that we were the real deal. Look, we have this polished music video, this polished sound production, but we can also play, you know, the grassroots of things. Like, you know, we're sitting here, 4 guys playing acoustic guitars, singing 4-part harmonies for real in front of you. And, you know, we were humbled to be there. We were nice people, you know. I'm something the most proud of that, because our team was very, very kind, you know, and we're all about, you know, that kind of class and integrity and respect. And you don't see that a lot, you know, and I'm not trying to boast about that. That's just what I find. I was so proud of that, because we always left the room and people, you know, were happy about it. People were saying, you know, they felt great after we left. You know, the impression is always, and they left an impression on us. People were so kind to us. And then About Us blew up. Like, it became the top song. We became the next big thing in Canada out of nowhere. The video went #1 and gold status, the song. We were like you could not have predicted that, you know. And it was perfect timing, because not only did we have a Backstreet Boy on board, but like it was like 2 whole years before the whole One Direction craze happened. So like, I'm saying this to prove that, like, just timing is everything. You know, you prepare, but in the end, preparation meets timing, and it's just like it creates that opportunity, you know.
Yeah.
So we try to capitalize.
So tell me about what it's like. You're you know, driving down the street in your car, you got the stereo on, and your song comes on the radio. Take me through the feeling.
Oh man, you dream about it for so long as a musician, or, you know, much like, because I've always been into acting too. You always dream of one of those big moments, and every little thing, shooting your first music video, all these, or seeing that for the first time, hearing the song on the radio for the first time. We heard it together actually while we were still on that radio tour, and we were just leaving. I think it was Red Deer, Alberta, and I think them and Ottawa might have been the first to play it at the same time, and we were on the bus. And the whole crew, the whole team, and we have footage of it. Like, we were great. Our videographer Biko had created Neverest TV with us, and he caught all these precious moments that we had, which I'm grateful for. And we were like singing at the top of our lungs, and it was a party. But the real magic was like catching it by myself in the car, and because I had always dreamt of that. So when it did happen, I was on the phone with Spee actually, and I'm like, Spee, the song is on right now. I have to go. I got to live here in this moment for a second. Just let me call you back. And of course, you know, it brought tears to my eyes, and it was incredible. And then we have a moment too. It's in one of our music videos actually, called Hello Goodbye. It's a montage of all some of our most milestone moments. And at the end of that video, it's the moment that we all at rehearsal caught our music video for the first time together on Much Music. Because I had, as a 15, 16-year-old, I used to walk by Much Music in Toronto all the time. Just one day, man, you know, the typical story one day, but it truly is the truth, you know. Like, I just would be there one day. I saw my other favorite bands there, you know, and then we had all those moments. The first time walking the red carpet at the MMVAs, nominated at the MMVAs, playing Much Music, you know, like it was bigger than I could have ever imagined. And the funny thing that a lot of people don't know about Neverest, that we're all rock guys, all of us. Like, we love pop music, we love our pop band, we love what we were doing, but we're all like hard rock, heavy metal guys, okay? And I'm, as a musician, you know, you can really appreciate everything, right? And of course, we're still fans of what the Backstreet Boys are doing, and then some, but we're like into bands like Korn and Slipknot, Linkin Park and Tool and all these bands. And that's why our live show was always a bit more rock edge. And I love that about us. But like, being there, getting to do our thing was just a dream. If it had taken off as a rock band, it would have never touched what we got to do as a pop band. There were so many special moments because of that.
It's pretty awesome to, you know, to see you guys go and to catch the show. There was always energy, right? And you know, no matter how many shows you've done, right, the energy was always there. So talk to us a little bit about, though, being out on the road and what that's like for, you know, for people that don't have any idea what it's like to be on the road. Maybe share a little bit about, you know, the Cross Canada tour and what that does to you.
We were fortunate enough to go across our country well over 20 times, I think. And we did a lot of charity work with Free the Children and We Day as well. So we did a lot of work, you know, we were always going across the country for that as well. And we also did tour with New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys for a couple of years here in Canada and in Germany. So we got to see what Europe was like on the road as well, and the UK. Because you dream about it for so long, there's some great moments to soak up. It's cool. You get to see new places or whatever. But, of course it does, like I'm sure, every artist says, it can get very lonely. You're with the same people 24 hours a day, and you all get on each other's nerves, but that's also a great bonding experience. I think it's important to be able to, have it out with somebody that you're so close to, and then be able to just move on, much like a brother or a sister, and that's how we were. We were laughing 90% of the time in this band. We worked hard, but we laughed even harder, and it was full of those moments. And I think that, like when the band had to stop after 5 or 6 years, I just felt so soulfully fulfilled. Like, it sucked that it had to end, but nothing lasts forever like that. And that's, I think, what makes it even more beautiful. So, we didn't want to stop. It became unfortunate. And I'm real with anybody I do an interview with, or the music industry. Not only was it already difficult, but especially in this day and age, it's near impossible to make a living, and even with all the success we saw, it just became, as a business, it became financially impossible to move forward and break internationally. We had deals on the table all the time being swept from us, and like, everybody loved us, but there's always a but, right? And you can't get caught up in that. You have to remember what's really important about what you're doing. And I'm fortunate that I got to truly like live in every moment. The longer we went, the more I learned how to slow down the moment and just be there on stage in front of 20,000 people we're playing to, and like live there, because at first it's like, it happens so fast. You get on stage, you get off stage, it's like it's a blur, right? But we were fortunate that 6 years was a good amount of time for us to be able to actually, soak it all up.
Do you have one show that sticks out in your head? I mean, all the shows that you ever played, do you have that one show that kind of go, oh yeah, that one?
There's lots of them. I think one of the most precious shows was playing a sold out Air Canada Center at the time here, our big arena here in Toronto, knowing that my parents were in the crowd, and my whole family was in the crowd, and we did 2 shows there, and it's a sold out arena, something of course I've always dreamed of. Like growing up, I would always watch the crowd more than the sporting event or the concert that I was at. And it's not so much like a fame thing. It's just like to be able to connect with this many people and have them sing back the words to your song, or just connect, there is a true beauty in that unity, and I think that moment we did a 15-minute set opening up for the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block. And funny enough, the New Kids on the Block was my first concert ever. I was 5 years old, and I had older girl cousins, so they were so into them, and we were so into them. They were the biggest thing around at that time, right? In the 80s, early 90s. I'm the oldest in the band. That's what, and I think that moment, I walked off, stage, tearing up, and it just was so incredible. And I think that, and one of our last tours that we did with Free the Children, where we ironically released our last single called Someday. And my Someday was always, performing to, tens of thousands of people with their lighters in the air, now because it's this generation, they were lights in the air, and to be singing back, the words to your song. And it was like a perfect way for us to go out, because ironically the song was called Someday, and I got to live my someday after all those 6 years of incredible milestones. It was the first time that every arm went up waving their lights in the air and seeing it back. And that was truly like what a textbook beautiful way to go out, with a bang. And we got to do eight of those shows, so I got to soak it up more and more each time. And it was just, and we had almost like a symphony up there with us, and it was beautiful. So
did you guys know at that point that you were going out, that was going to be your last tour?
We did, pretty much, unfortunately, because we were trying to bridge the next step, and like I said, we were just grateful to get one more go around at it. And if the song didn't take off, or if it didn't work out, whatever, then we were still happy. I mean, it definitely affects everybody differently. I've been fortunate that I've always been grounded enough to understand what's happening and appreciate truly what's going on. And that's why when it stopped, I just right away got back on the horse with something else. I went straight back to acting training that I used to do, and then started taking advantage of my social media platforms and started reinventing myself, with tackling another dream that I always had. I've always loved comedy and acting and producing. And now I love editing. Editing is like writing a song with guitar. The possibilities are endless. And sometimes I'll write out a sketch and then I'll end up rearranging it on the editing board, and it's like way funnier than I thought it would be. So it's exciting to be able to tap into your potential that way,
So your ultimate goal here, obviously with the comedy stuff, is to get the sitcom. Where are you close?
Much like the music business, it is very difficult trying to land a record deal, But we have a lot of great support and some heavyweights who are interested in us. But listen, man, I don't believe anything anyone says until they put their money where their mouth is. That's the point. It's unfortunately still a business, where I want to be making a great living doing what I love, right? And because we live here on Earth, I still got to pay my bills and eat. You know what I mean? It'd be great to, be properly compensated for the hard work that you put in, because as a musician, that does not happen. And that's the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. That's the truth. I would never discourage any musician from trying, because everyone's path is different. Anything can pop off, and we were fortunate that everything fell into place at that point, right? But in the end, you recycle that money back into the project, and you still need to be, and a lot of these top artists, they look like they're rolling big, but they're hurting. Trust me, not Drake. Drake's not hurting, but there are many. There's no in between anymore. There's superstardom or still scraping by, and that's the unfortunate part, because nobody's buying music. We're streaming, but you're getting paid less than a penny for streams. So it's very difficult. And that's not to sound negative. That's just the reality, but it shouldn't never stop someone from making music, because it's never been easier to put out your music. I still write music. I want to put my own album out once, just for whatever it does. Right. Even now, like I said, we Neverest released an album last year of all unreleased tracks. Tracks that are precious to us. Again, it's called the Lost Tracks. Probably my favorite album ever. And we just put it out just to put it out, and I'll promote it when I can, whatever, but in the end it's still very difficult to have people constantly streaming it. But TikTok has made that awesome for artists, because when you add a song to the thing, it counts as a stream. So that's a great, TikTok is just a brilliant app for many reasons. That's probably a whole other show, bro. I could because social media is part of my game, so I understand why things work and don't work.
Well, that was going to actually lead right into my next question. So, social media does play a big part in what you do. So, as a new performer, somebody, looking to make it, what's your suggestion to them, and how important is social media in their overall game plan?
Social media is the most important, because it's not like, just everyone has contacts to TV outlets. And even then, who's really watching TV anymore? People are streaming, People, I produce commercials. I get, I have a business producing commercials for bigger brands to incorporate it with my original brand of comedy. So it's completely original. Plus they have my whole demographic, all my numbers, and then some that the exposure's for, and it's better bang for their buck altogether. So if an artist is trying to, work with brands or anything like that, continue building your social media platforms, all of them, because that's the leverage you're going to have for these people. Because for a company to spend 20, 30 grand on a TV commercial that nobody's going to watch, because that's when everyone's looking at their phone, it should be, catch everybody on their phone. That's their social media. Everyone goes to their favorite app to search their favorite actor or their favorite musician. And if you're not on them, then you're invisible to them, right? So Instagram is still a big one, but TikTok has hands down blown out the competition. And that's because on the For You screen, whoever knows what I'm talking about, your homepage, it allows you to do absolutely everything. Most important, follow, view, comment, share, and like, all within, you never have to leave the video, right? Instagram, you still got to, I like this, you got to go to the page, maybe I'll follow, click on the link in my bio, all this crazy stuff. It doesn't work, right? So the least amount of friction is always going to work. So that's why for any artist, musician, or doing anything, it'd be great to get on TikTok, keep up your Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. But the most important thing I think I'd say is to make sure that everything you're putting out is genuine to you. People see right through that. For me, I only put up stuff that I think is hilarious. Whether people laugh with me or not is a bonus, And the best part about that, it's not like doing a stand-up in a room with hecklers, who doesn't want to be there. It's like, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch, You know, there's always the trolls. There's always people trying to hate and put a hate comment. But in the end, they're embarrassing themselves. You know, you let that air out. You know, they're just so it's so important to stay focused on making sure that the music and stuff you're doing is not because other people are doing it, but because it's something you feel that you can rock in your own unique way.
Well, and you feel that, right? It's genuine. You know, as somebody who's consuming that, you know, that content, you can tell if it's something that somebody's involved with and they feel it, or if it's just something they're doing for, you know, and whether it's music or comedy or anything else, it doesn't really matter. You can see if it's just something that somebody's doing for the sake of putting it out, or if they feel it.
Yeah. You know, and now in quarantine, you know, people are doing things just for fun to pass the time. And that's cool too, of course, right? But if people who are serious about building something for themselves, and that's another thing that most people, you know, you have to make sure that the core objective and the core drive that you have is genuine in the way that it's a humble perspective. It cannot be about the fame and fortune. It cannot be about getting TikTok famous or YouTube famous, because majority of the world, that's all they want. They want fame, right? But they don't understand what that means. It's never genuine. Like I gave you the example of me always watching the crowd more than the show. Most people look at the crowd like, oh, one day this is all going to be for me, and they're going to be chanting my name. Yeah, it's not about that. It's about being able to connect with that many people through doing something you love. That's the ultimate high. You know what I mean? That's the real genuine reason, right? Everyone else is lying. They're just lying to themselves if they are just doing it to get famous in 15 minutes, you know? And that's a key thing in part of our day, and the kids that are growing up and watching this and whatever, you know, it's hard, you know, you're still learning yourself, you know, and people are bullying each other and whatever, and you know, you're searching. But if I had that instilled even younger for me, like I figured that out even younger, it would have been easier for me to, you know, be happier. And I was always a happy kid, but like, it just, you know, mental health is so important, and this is very connected to that. You know, everyone wants to be TikTok famous. Why? Just so you're famous? Or are you really putting out something in the world that's changing the world in a better way? You know, I put out stuff that makes people laugh. I love to make people laugh. It's making somebody's day better, right? It's not changing the wheel here. It's just doing something that's real to me, you know? Same with music. You know, you don't want to play music you hate just because it's going to pay you. But it's also, if it's going to pay you, maybe now that you should get it down. Like I always joke that I always joked with the band that maybe we should just start our own cover band of our own band just to get paid right away or at all. You know what I mean?
Probably make more money as the cover band than you did as
100% you do. You get paid that night. You know what I'm saying? It's hilarious. It doesn't work like that in music. It's just backwards. You're an original band, biggest songs around, and you have to wait to get paid. If you get paid. Yeah. Ridiculous. You know? The business
is a funny business, that's for sure.
It definitely is. But you gotta enjoy it for what it is. You know, like I said, we had a great time, and I'm so grateful because I found the true meaning in what was really real about the success that we had. You know, we had some real connections with people, and that's the most beautiful part.
Well, that's pretty amazing. And Paul, listen, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your pandemic routine here. It's pretty
My pleasure entirely.
Pretty sad we got to call it a pandemic routine, but that's the world we live in, at least in the short term anyway. So
yeah, I know.
Keep producing that comedy, man, and good luck with the show. I think it's going to be amazing for sure. If it's anything like the comedy you're putting out now, it's going to be something worth turning in for. So make sure that you guys check it out. The links will be down in the description here. And check out his comedy. It is absolutely hilarious. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that.
Thank you so much, man. And good luck with the show too. I think it's wonderful that you're doing it, and it's so nice to talk to you. It's been a real pleasure always.
Thanks, man. And you stay safe as well. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, bro.